We're getting a little bit.
I think we're going to try to keep this as informal as possible so we can have a good discussion with you all. So my name is Amanda Woodruff. I'm a researcher for Policy Matters Ohio. We are kind of what you would call a progressive think tank. We focus on issues facing working families in Ohio. We are also the Ohio partner to the Apollo Alliance, which is a national coalition of labor leaders, environmental leaders, business leaders, as well as community leaders coming together to call for a new Apollo project. The basic idea is we can put a man on the moon simply because we decide to do so. We can also decide to achieve our energy independence and work that way and create good green jobs in the process. So I want to start out with why we decided to partner with the Apollo Alliance and where we're coming up from. So I'm going to give you a few fast facts about Ohio's economy. It's not doing so hot, and you probably don't really need to be part of a think tank to know that. Since December, we've lost over 100,000 jobs in mass layoff events. So clearly we're in the thick of the national recession, but it is not even clear that we made it out of the last recession. Ohio's unemployment since 2001 has gone from 4%, around 4% to 11%, so it's more than doubled. We have nearly 60,000 fewer construction jobs and over 280,000 fewer manufacturing jobs. So the whole wait and see, let the markets fix themselves approach is really not working for Ohio. And it's left our workers behind, it's left our communities divided, and it's also polluted our environment. So in addition to rapid job loss and high unemployment, fewer than 6 in 10 Black Ohioans are employed. Men earn over 20% in wages higher than women. Real wages have fallen. Income inequality has grown, and union membership has declined. And this is all at the same time that the productivity of our workforce has actually grown. And here's a few unsettling facts about our energy use. Ohio, no surprise, uses a lot of energy. Now, most of it is from fuel produced elsewhere. 89% of our natural gas comes from out of the state. 98% of the petroleum we use comes from out of the state or out of the country. And what little well known is most of the coal we use also comes from out of the state. About 2/3 of the coal is purchased from outside of Ohio. So overall, we send about $20 billion or more outside of the state's economy to purchase the polluting fossil fuels we use. And that's just at current energy prices. It fluctuates as energy prices rise, the more we spend outside the state on the energy we use. And most importantly, we rank 4th in the amount of emissions that we put into the air in the process. So we believe it's time for aggressive action and aggressive policy solutions. Investing in a clean energy economy means making our state more energy dependent, as well as reducing the amount of money that we send out of the state every year and the associated pollution that goes along with that. All while creating good green jobs in the process. And so that leads me to the question, what the heck is a green job? But maybe more specifically, what is a good green job? We define a green job as a good paying job with a career pathway that moves towards family supporting wages. So it is not a low skill, dead end job. We have enough of those already. So the next question is, what does it mean to significantly contribute to the environment? It means a job that reduces the amount of polluting fuels we use, increases the amount of non-polluting fuels we use, or reduces the amount of emissions we put into the air. So solar panels and wind turbines are a big part of that, but it's not the whole picture. It's a really, really big area, and many of green jobs are not new jobs. We just never called them green before. Green jobs are stuff like weatherizing homes, retrofitting commercial, city, school buildings to be more energy efficient, include renewable energy. It's energy auditing, people going into buildings and looking for the leaks, finding the ways to improve efficiency. It's laying down rail lines, building mass transit, employing bus drivers. It's providing energy management services to our industry, because our industry actually uses more energy than any other sector in our economy. If we improve the efficiency of our manufacturers, we can make them lean green fighting machines and more cost competitive, because they'll be spending less on energy. And instead of putting pressure on the wages of the workforce, how about we reduce the amount we spend on energy instead? It is also transforming the way we do energy business in Ohio as well as the nation. Currently, we have a very decentralized system of energy. They are building a few power plants across the state. Clean energy is distributed energy, right? It's solar panels on rooftops. It's combined heat and power plants at or near the point of end use. The reason that is, our electric grid system is horribly inefficient, and it really hasn't been upgraded since World War II. If you look around, you'll see it's antiquated and it needs an overhaul. 70% of the energy burned at a power plant is lost in generation or transmission. So that means more energy is wasted than actually reaches the end user. That's not a good way to do business. So if you put, for example, a solar panel on a rooftop or a biomass generator in your backyard, it's not one-for-one difference. Every kilowatt hour you produce from a renewable energy machine means 3 kilowatts less being burned at a power plant. So every kilowatt means hour you produce is like 3 lumps of coal less. So it's transforming the way we do energy. A national investment in our green economy will also poise Ohio to capture manufacturing jobs. This stuff, if we demand it, somebody's gonna produce it. And many of the parts that go into wind turbines and solar panels and other energy efficient equipment, they're not mysterious. They're made of things like bearings and gearboxes, stuff we already make in Ohio, we could be making for the renewable energy economy. The bottom line is that it's going to take a lot of work to overhaul Ohio's energy economy, a lot of work, and that is exactly what we need right now. We need work. So if we do this the right way, ensure the right policies are put into place, we can put Ohio on a sustainable pathway towards shared prosperity. And I think I'll let Matt talk a little bit about how the policy translates into helping him get his work done.
Okay, are we on? Can you hear me? Yeah, all right. I'm Matt Bennett with Dovetail Solar and Wind. We're a solar and wind power installation company based in Athens, but we serve the entire state. And what we're seeing now is a real different situation with the economics of solar and wind. And it just so happens that this is probably the best time in history to be investing in this technology, both because the cost has gone down and because the cost of the alternatives are going up. So we're on the path to what we call grid parity. And grid parity is where the cost of renewable energy is competitive with the cost of the traditional grid power. We're not there yet, but with the incentives that we have in place right now, we are looking at anywhere from 2 to 14-year paybacks on most solar power systems. And since these are systems that will produce energy for 30 or maybe 40 or more years, having even a 14-year payback is actually a good investment in the long run. If you think about what it's going to cost you to purchase that energy in 14 years, that second half of the lifetime of that solar installation is going to save you a tremendous amount of money, because you will be avoiding purchasing energy at much higher prices than you're seeing right now. It's a little tricky running payback figures because we don't know how much energy is going to cost in the future, especially if we're looking out 20, 25, 30 years. But we're pretty confident it's going up, and we're seeing figures anywhere from 4% to 8% annual increase in energy costs. And it comes in waves. There was a big increase in the 90s, and now we're seeing another big increase right now. So the primary incentives that are in place for solar specifically, and also to some degree for wind, are federal tax credits. And these federal tax credits are a little bit different for residential versus commercial. The quickest payback is on a commercial system, where you have not only a 30% federal tax credit, but you also have an accelerated depreciation schedule, which really results in about another 30 to 35%. So right there, if you can use those tax credits, there's about 65% off of the cost of the system. Now, if you're a commercial entity and you're not sure that you're going to be able to use those tax credits, one of the adjustments that was made in the stimulus package was that you were allowed to take that 30% federal tax credit as a grant. So the IRS will actually send you a check, it's called a treasury grant, for 30% of the cost of your system, whatever you invested in it. So that addresses a situation where, because of the economic times right now, a lot of companies are not profitable, so they can't use the tax credit. So at least you have that 30% guaranteed, whether you can use that as a tax credit or not. You have the option of taking it as a grant. Now on the residential side, you don't have that option, but you still have the 30% federal tax credit. And then for most customers in Ohio, and this would apply to anyone who is on any of the big investor-owned utility electric providers like AEP or First Energy or Dayton Power and Light or Duke, all those customers are eligible for a state grant. And this is the Advanced Energy Fund. It's utility money that's been collected on everyone's utility bills. I think it's about 9 cents per month on your utility bill. That goes into a big pot, and you're eligible to get a grant, and there's no special qualifications, no income levels. Anyone who's a utility customer of one of the big investor-owned utilities is eligible for this. And this is anywhere from 40 to 50% of the cost of the system. So if you can couple the state grant with the federal tax credits, you can see that on a commercial system, you're paying probably 10% of the cost or less. Now, it's a little bit tricky because you have to either subtract the grant from the total amount that you're going to get the tax credit on, or you have to pay income tax on the grant. You can't get the grant and then get the tax credit on the entire purchase price. So that, so it's not exactly you get 50% from the state, 35 from the feds, and another 30 from the feds, so you're not going to get paid, but it reduces the cost to, like I said, on a commercial system, maybe 2-year payback. So the numbers are there, and the real key is having the money to work with, because you still have to have the money up front. The solar panels still have to be paid for, the installer still has to install them, and then all these incentives come after the fact. The grant comes a few months afterwards, the tax credits come at the end of the year, the accelerated depreciation takes several years to work through. So I think what hopefully we're going to be seeing across the state is that local governments will be setting up revolving loan funds. We're hoping that there's a pilot project like this happening in Athens, where the city will actually lend you the money to install the system. And then you can use the tax credits and the grants to pay that back. Plus, remember, you have the energy savings. And then there's one more incentive, which is brand new. This is called a renewable energy credit. And the renewable, or RECS, R-E-C-S is the abbreviation now. A solar renewable energy credit that's generated in Ohio is worth at least twice what the electricity is worth. And keep in mind that this renewable energy credit is not associated with the energy itself. It's not, you don't have to give up the electrons to get the renewable energy credit. You can use that energy from your solar array or your wind turbine. You can use that energy and you can sell their credit, which is basically the value of that energy. Because it's clean, it has a higher value than regular coal-fired or nuclear-based energy. So you can sell that renewable energy credit even if you keep the electricity. And it can be traded. There's a market that's been created to trade renewable energy credits. Some of you may have heard of pollution credits. They trade those as well. This is a little bit better because we're trading something that's on the positive side of the equation. So because it's an open market, it's hard to know what you're going to get for that. So there are third parties that come in, and they're called aggregators, and they will buy these renewable energy credits from people who have systems, and they'll resell them to the utilities who need these credits. Now, the utilities in Ohio are by law required to have a certain amount of renewable energy credits now every year. At least the regulated utilities are. So they will pay for those, and if they don't have those, they have to pay a penalty of 45 cents per kilowatt hour. So theoretically, a renewable energy credit could be worth as much as 44 cents a kilowatt hour. Now, it's probably not going to be that high, and it'll probably start out maybe at 30 cents and then start going down. Well, there are independent third parties that will buy those from you and give you a 5-year locked-in price. Right now, the company that we're working with is paying 20 cents per kilowatt hour. For 5 years, they will guarantee that for you. That means that in addition to the 10 cents per kilowatt hour that you're saving because you're not having to buy that energy from the utility company, say you pay 10 cents a kilowatt hour, you're going to save 10 cents a kilowatt hour, plus you can sell the renewable energy credits for 20 cents a kilowatt hour. So you're actually saving 30 cents a kilowatt hour for every kilowatt hour of energy that you produce from your solar array. So you can see this has really improved the payback time as well. And this is a major factor in having an income stream to pay back whatever loan you may take to install your system. So what we're looking at, if you have the money up front or if there's a revolving loan fund you can participate in, is that you can install a system at no cost, and it will pay for itself simply with its savings and with the incentives that are associated with it. And then at the end of a certain period of time, which may be on a residential system, maybe 7 or 8 or 10 years at the most, 12, 14. For a commercial system, maybe 2 to 5 years. The system's paid for, it's producing free energy for you for another 20 or more years. So you can see that things have changed a lot since 3 years ago. It would have been a completely different story with different numbers. So that's a little bit about the incentives. Just real quickly on the technology, this solar trailer over here is what's powering the stage, and you're welcome to come take a look at that if you want to see a system in operation. But basically, the solar arrays are producing DC power. We're running it through an inverter that's synchronizing it with the grid, and it's just pumping that electricity right into your system. So it doesn't change the operation of your house at all. It's just feeding energy in, offsetting your consumption. At times when you're using less than you're producing, you're actually exporting that to the utility company. And if you're on a regulated utility like AEP, they have to offer you net metering, which means they're giving you full retail credit for what you're putting into the utility grid. And you can use those credits anytime over the next 12 months and get full credit for them. So basically, it's a pretty much silent system, no maintenance required. Very simple. We also install solar hot water systems, known as solar thermal, and we also do wind systems. Now, wind power is only really feasible in places where you have an average wind speed of at least 12 miles an hour, maybe 11 at the smallest. So if you have an area where you're getting 11, 12 or more miles per hour average wind speed for the year, then you might consider wind. Otherwise, solar is going to be a better bet for you. With solar, you have less maintenance issues, you have longer lifetime, you have no moving parts, longer warranties, and so on. So wind is a little more risky as far as the reliability, and solar is very almost fail-safe. So you have long warranties on the panels, 25 years on the performance of the solar panels. So I'm going to pass this over to Jerry, and he'll talk about his programs at Hocking College, and then we'll take some questions and answers after that. I'm sure people may have some questions about the policy issues or the technology or the incentives. We'll let Jerry talk a little bit about the training programs that they're running at Hocking College. Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, good afternoon. I know it's hot, everybody's bobbing and weaving. It's hot up here too, but we'll make it through. I just happen to look off to my right and I see the big house over here, AEP, the building over here. We all talk about AEP and so forth, so it's just kind of interesting. I just happen to notice that. Anyways, welcome. I'm the dean of the Hocking College Energy Institute. It's a new campus. It's located in Logan, Ohio. We have other classes that are going on at that campus, but primary focus at this point in time is advanced energy. Under construction, which will open in about 60 days, under the U.S. Green Building Council, is a LEED Platinum Learning Center. It's an open concept. It is technology from solar thermal, solar PV, wind generation, geothermal, south-facing high albedo roof, sod on the back side of the building, and it's about 45 minutes from here. If you don't know where Logan, Ohio is, it's down what we call the beautiful part of the state in the Hocking Hills, about 45 minutes, 50 minutes from here. The two programs that we've had in place since 2003, we started on the main campus in Nelsonville. We have 2 associate degree programs that are approved in the Ohio Board of Regents, the only advanced energy programs in Ohio in the college university system at the associate degree level, in advanced energy and fuel cells, vehicular electric hybrids, and fuel cells as well. And within those programs, as I mentioned, in the building we do study solar photovoltaics, which is what we're experiencing here. Solar thermal to heat the water, could be heating the part of the building, as well as wind technology. We also have the state testing lab for biofuels. We process fuels there. It's made out of waste cooking oils and also from soy. We collaborate with one of the major companies in the state, Chieftain Biofuels. It's located there, our students' internship there. Matt happens to be my adjunct professor that we also are certified under the national, it's called NABCET, North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. We offer a 1-week, 40-hour, it's the first level class to get yourself into the certification for solar technicians. In October, we will start our geothermal certification, national certification program, and my adjunct from there is Jeff Persons from a group called Water Furnace for geothermal technology. In the way of plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles, one of the things that, as we look at all this encompassing technology and advanced energy, there's a lot of complementary pieces between. One of the things that we're doing at the campus this summer is putting in and building off-grid plug-ins for electric vehicles so that if you want to plug it in, you don't have to be tied into the grid. We will have plug-ins in our parking lot that will be charged off of our PV panels that's on the roof of the new building on the energy campus. But at the same time, we are going to be offering training and off-grid. The other piece that we offer is a travel abroad. We have an eco facility in the Bahamas. The students have an option to go international for a quarter in the Bahamas, and that's an eco. We have that facility about 50% sustainable with wind and solar at this point. It is a nice place to get away. Some students desire not to go there, so we have the option. They can stay in Logan or take the international option as well. Overall, that's our program offering at this time. We have about 65 students. I'm expecting somewhere between 60 and 70 in the fall. Amanda talked about all of the unemployment and so forth. We are there. We're part of the university system. We're working with the Department of Development, a number of companies here in Ohio to reinvent what I call, some part of it's forward to the past. A lot of this technology we had years ago before we kind of got fat, dumb, and happy on crude oil. And so we're bringing that forth. The other thing, this campus is located next to an industrial park. And that industrial park is the start of energy companies that have synergy with the energy technology. And we have 2 companies moved in. And the theme of this is to learn to live and work locally. We have a tremendous amount of people that drive out of southeastern Ohio into the Columbus area every day to work because there's no employment there. So we're trying to recreate that and also to recreate community as we see some of our European friends. I've worked in Germany and Switzerland, and they do some incredible things in their communities that we could really learn from. So those are the highlights of the campus. Again, it is in Logan, Ohio, about 20 minutes back this way, I'll say, from the main campus on State Route 33. So we'll take any questions anybody has. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Comments? They want to talk about the nuclear plant that they've announced for Southern Ohio? Yeah. The question was, what do we see for development of landfill gas? And yeah, there's been quite a bit of activity going back, I think, almost 10 years in Ohio regarding landfill gas. And you want to address that, Jared?
Yeah, I'll address that. I've worked on landfills. I'm actually an undergraduate automotive engineer. It's a great source of methane. It can be captured. We can either run compressed or liquefied LNG. And SWACO's tempted that all of our landfills will be that. But that leads us also to the landfill topic of what we put in the landfill, what shouldn't go in the landfill. But definitely landfills are a great source of methane. I mean, they're producing it, and we need to capture it rather than blow it off in the air and cause more greenhouse gases.
There are a lot of technologies that are emerging at this point, including some variations of fuel cells. There's an ammonia-based fuel cell that's being developed at Ohio University, which will can use waste, animal waste or human waste, which has a lot of ammonia byproduct, to run the fuel cell. It turns out that ammonia is a great source for hydrogen, which is what's required to run the hydrogen fuel cell. And it's actually easier to get the hydrogen out of the ammonia than it is from other things such as water. So a small solar array can start the process. If you have a steady supply of ammonia, it's a self-perpetuating energy source. And with all the waste treatment plants, as well as large-scale agricultural installations, there's all these sources of ammonia around the country. And so there are many technologies such as that are in the works, and I think you'll be hearing about some interesting things. And of course, you'll be seeing some larger scale solar electric installations as well because of the utility requirements now. There's a solar farm being built soon in Ohio, 10 megawatts, which is by far the largest. I don't think we even have a 1 megawatt array in Ohio yet. So this is something that AEP has put out to bid. They're not going to own the system, but they do what's called a power purchase agreement. And a third party comes in this case, a global company came in and agreed to build the plant and sell the power and the renewable energy credits to AEP so they can put that in their mix and meet the requirements that they have. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of these, acres and acres of solar fields. And it turns out that it's actually cheaper to build and operate a solar plant than it is to build and operate a new coal-fired plant. So the numbers have shifted enough to the point where if you look at the entire life cycle cost of a coal plant, even though coal is considered cheap energy, That's because it's coming from existing plants that have already been paid for and depreciated. But if you have to design, construct, operate, and buy the fuel and decommission a coal power plant, it turns out that cost is higher than the same life cycle cost for a solar power plant. So there's really no justification at this point to build any more coal plants. There's no financial justification. There's only the old, momentum that's in place from our coal-based economy here. So I think the Consumer Council, Ohio Consumers Council, did this study and determined this. And of course, nuclear turned out to be the most expensive of all the forms of new deployment of energy. So this whole idea of building a nuclear plant down in Piketon, where they already have a nuclear waste zone down there, is really a desperation move on the part of George Voinovich and folks who have been kind of hoodwinked to believe that this is going to create jobs and reduce global warming. But the fact is, they've already admitted that it'll be at least 10 years before that thing's operational. And if you know anything about the science of global warming, you know that we can't wait 10 years. That 10 megawatt solar array will be installed by the end of this year and operational. So, we have a little disconnect here. We were all real excited when Ted Strickland got elected, and we give the state government a lot of credit for passing Senate Bill 221, which created the requirements for renewable energy for our utilities. But here they are running around promoting a nuclear plant, really as a desperation measure to create jobs in Southern Ohio, which is where the political base for the governor is. So I think the governor wants to do the right thing, but I think we might need to educate him a little bit about what really is the right thing and how what the other options are for creating jobs in Southern Ohio or anywhere in Ohio. And a big part of the issue is that we shipped all our jobs overseas to places where people aren't making good wages and aren't being treated properly. And now we're living with the consequences of that, which is an economy that's based on selling tacos, and the service economy, which really has no base because you can't service people who don't have money to buy things. So we're in a real tangle here economically, and the only way out is to resurrect our infrastructure and our manufacturing economy, but build things that actually do something good. So we're trying to create a supply chain in Ohio so we can be buying Ohio products. And that's what the industrial park at Logan is all about, where Hocking College's energy campus is. It's also going to be the site, hopefully, of some solar manufacturers. There's already a solar-related company there. And, having that supply chain in the state, those are going to be the meaningful jobs. And, of course, all the design work and the support work that is required to have that manufacturing is really the only way that we're going to revive our economy, because once we shipped all the other jobs to China, they're all set up and cooking. So it's not going to be, we're not going to get all those jobs back. We've got to create new ones.
I just want to say a couple things. Our ribbon cutting for the new institute is October 2nd, for the expo on October 3rd. And there's literature on the institute, also our ASTM testing. It's on the table there in the back if you'd like to take any of the information with you. And you can get us on our website as well if you have any questions about our training and so forth. Thank you.
You want to say anything?
No, I was just going to say amen to you.
All right, well, thanks for coming. Oh,
Thank you.
Question?
There's one guitar and two guys.
He's probably on a rural co-op. Right. Sure. Yeah, it's very frustrating for folks who are on a rural electric co-op or on a municipal electric company because you don't get the state grant. However, you still get the federal tax credits and you still get the renewable energy credits. So, his payback is going to be a little bit longer, but it's still a good investment in the long run. We hope that the state will create a program that will apply to those folks, and we've been lobbying for that, but we don't know yet if and when that will happen. I think there'll be some changes next year. There's some federal money that's coming into the state, and hopefully that they will be able to create a program that will be inclusive to everyone in the state. So it might be worth, as much as I hate to tell people to wait, it might be worth waiting and see what happens over the next 6 months. So thanks for coming, and we're going to be setting up another booth for Dovetail's products, and David Cohen, who's our Central Ohio rep, will be setting up a table over here. So if you need some information, come on back and talk to David, or talk to any of us after this. Thank you very much.